Hi, I'm Jessica Barkle, and I'm really hoping that I get the the college side of this so I can debate for college, not against it.
Hi, I'm Ariana Barkle, and I'm hoping I get. Actually, I don't really care. I don't really have a side. I want to do both.
Here we are with the official coin flip. Jessica's going to be calling.
Heads. Heads.
And it lands heads. Jessica, what would you like to do? College?
I'm going to be debating for it.
For college, and Nana will be going for trade school.
When coming out of high school, kids are urged to seek higher education. This next step would be going to college or trade school. When you choose to go to college, you have until your sophomore year to decide what you want your major to be. This can be a vital period of time because only 45% of high school graduates know what they want their major to be. Another advantage in going to a traditional four-year college is that most employers require a bachelor's degree, which you will get at the end of your college experience. When you have this degree, employers are likely to give benefits such as better health coverage, more time off, retirement plans, and flexible schedules. Once you get into the real world, this can be very helpful. Oops. Speaking of when you get into the real world, the average person changes jobs every 4 years and holds 12 different jobs over their lifetime. A college degree is fairly flexible, meaning you can use these study hours you put into the degree over a variety of jobs. This can add to your job security, knowing that if you get fired or we go into an economic downfall, you're more likely to be able to find another job. Across America, 19.91 million students enroll in colleges every year. Out of this group, 40% of students in public universities live on campus, and 64% of students in private universities live on campus. The remainder lives close by in off-campus housing or with parents that live close to the campus. Since all the students live so close, campus culture is lively and can give you a chance to make meaningful connections with your peers, which you might not be able to make if you did not live on campus or near your college. While having your friends so close is a benefit of college, the on-campus housing itself is also a benefit of a traditional four-year college. Students need to have strong study habits in order to succeed in college courses. Living on or near campus gives you access to a library, which will have the information you need. On top of this, your professors will be on campus to help you after classes with any questions you may have on the subject. In addition to this, you also get to meet a diverse pool of students when going to college. Across the country, millions of students from different ethnic backgrounds attend colleges. Many students come from out of the country as well. This allows students to be able to meet others from many different cultures. These students might not be able to get a proper education in their home country, meaning they can get their degree and take that knowledge back home, whereas in other forms of higher education, this might not be so easy to do.
Trade school is a school based on career-specific jobs with little to no extra distractions, such as side classes. Your school lessons consist of hands-on training in the field you are training for. This means that whenever you go to training and stuff, you're not going to be going and sitting in a classroom for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours doing work on paper. You're going to be actually doing what you're going to be doing for jobs. Maybe it's building a house, maybe it's doing electricity. This will lead to concentrated learning, so the time the course takes to complete will be less. These courses usually take between a few months to a year. Instead of wasting your time on going over things you learned in high school or taking a new general course, you will be learning what you actually need for the jobs. Because trade schools are for more specific career paths, your classes will be smaller and the instructors can be there to help you more and provide assistance. Since everybody in your class is training for the same things, you can make friends with the same interests and hobbies, and all the people, they can help you with your classes. You can make study groups, and say you want to go work on a project, it'll be a lot easier. Trade schools don't require a long admission process. You can simply apply. You don't have to worry about money because financial aid and scholarships can also apply to trade schools, not just college, given that you graduate high school, of course. The average cost of trade school is equal to $33,000, or just 1 year at college. So 1 out of 4 years at college will take roughly $33,000. However, the whole trade school course will only be $33,000. The exact cost will vary on where it is located and what trade you take. However, usually it can be thousands of dollars cheaper than college. Any career path you can think of, there's most likely a trade for it. With there being thousands of trade schools in USA alone and hundreds of trades to learn, the opportunities are endless. Trade school graduates are in high demand right now, with them already being specifically trained in one career path. After the school, you will have specific set of skills and expansive knowledge on the job. This makes it easier to find a job during or right after you graduate trade school. With you also knowing everything about your career, there's a better chance that you can get a high-paying job in that field. The opportunities are endless, from completion taking less time and money to being in smaller classes. With hands-on learning and like-minded individuals, once you leave trade school, the options for jobs will be limitless. With trade graduates in high demand, when it comes to what is better, trade school or college, it's trade school. Your wallet will thank you, your future will thank you, your future self will thank you, and it'll be worth it.
So, first off, how do you feel? How do you think you did?
I think I did pretty good, only I spoke a little slower while actually doing the debate than whenever I was speaking at home, so I did not get my last paragraph. I'm going to figure out how to add it into my closing statement.
And if you could improve something, what would it be?
Pacing of my reading it, because I feel like I did pretty good when reading, other than a few small parts in the beginning when my timer kept getting in the way.
And how do you feel about your opponent's stance? Do you think they're very strong or kind of weak?
They have a very good opening statement and a lot of really good points, but at the same time, I feel like I have searched up enough where I can go against pretty much everything she brought up.
So are you feeling pretty strong coming into the rebuttal phase, or
Yes.
feeling kind of weak?
I'm feeling really strong, and I really think I can take back a little bit of ground.
Perfect. So how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty good. I hit a lot of good points, but I kept stuttering over words. I was nervous.
Is there anything that you wish that you could improve on looking back?
Making the sentences a little bit more clear, because I did keep stumbling on them, or making break points so I knew where I was.
And how do you feel about your opponent's stance? Do you feel they have a very strong stance or a weak stance?
I feel like they kept going over a lot of the same things, and I can do a good rebuttal.
So you're going into the rebuttal feeling pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Trade school might seem like the more appealing option, especially since there seems to be so many more benefits. But when you actually go and do research about trade school, you can find these benefits might not actually be there. Against popular belief, trade school isn't always cheaper. Since you are taught very specific information and need very specific materials, costs for those materials can be very expensive. On-site space is also needed to learn what you are trying to achieve, meaning renting the space to learn that can add to your cost. And since there's no on-site housing for trade schools, you also have to take into account the fact that you're going to need space for an apartment and then utility costs for that, food bills, so that can add to your cost when going to college or trade school. Since the knowledge is so specific and there are likely to be many graduates looking for the same job in the same area, it can also be really hard to find a job coming straight out of college or trade school, meaning that extra time you had for not going to college can be spent looking for a job to start making money. Trade school also admits diversity in both field and culture. There are very few reasons for someone out of country to come to a trade school to learn how to make something if they can already learn that back home. And since everyone's learning the same thing by the same teacher, it can also be hard to find the same phone call. It can also be hard to find different solutions for the same problem, whereas if you have more people around you that are in different fields, they can help you find a cheaper, better, or different option for the same problem. Finally, trade school limits students into one career path.
While listening to my opponent, I noticed a few points in their speech I'd like to address. When comparing jobs after trade school versus college, many factors play in. However, just getting a bachelor's degree does not promise you a high-paying job. Skills and practice also tend to play more into the decision. With trade school, you have all the desired skills you could need or want in the selected job field, securing a better chance of a job. When you pick your trade, you also get taught everything about the trade and anything in that field. So if you want to become an electrician, you won't just learn about a certain electrician, you'll learn about all the parts of being an electrician. When going to college, you sometimes get to live on campus, but the rooms tend to be cramped and you pay a lot to live there. It's not just like, oh yeah, I'm going to college so I get to stay here. You have to pay extra. However, living off an apartment with friends or at home, you spend less money and you get to choose where you live instead of being always on the campus. Campus culture might also be nice, but again, you have to pay a lot to live there, and even though you are an adult, you have to abide by a lot of rules, which breaking any can get you kicked out, even though you paid to be there. The last point I'd like to address is picking a major. While high school graduates don't know what they want to do, they at least have a small idea of what they're interested in, and going to trade school can either nurture that interest or send them in a direction of what they want to do. I think overall, trade school offers you way more opportunities and sets you on a good path for life. It also sends you into your next into your next part of life without a bucket of student debt, and instead you can use the money for the rest of life and skills for the rest of their life.
Overall, going to college seems like the better option, where you might be able to have a shorter learning time and sometimes, but not always, a cheaper tuition. When going to college, you have the benefit of more time to think of what you want to do and what you want to learn. As stated before, 45% of high school graduates don't know what they want their major to be. That same 45% applies to trade school applicants as well, meaning while they may get the perks of shorter learning time and cheaper cost, what's the point of having that knowledge if you don't go to use it later in life? College educations have proven that they often lead to higher paying jobs and jobs right out of college. 53.6% of college graduates either have a job or a job offer by the time they get out of college. Additionally, since you get to make all those connections in college, you also have lifelong friends. Not only can you make friends in college, but 28% of people also find their significant others while attending college. Getting a job is a very important part of growing up, but finding happiness is also a very important part of growing up.
Through all the points that were made, I think it's clear what the better option is. With trade school, you don't have to pay as much to go to school, while going to college, you pay 4 times as much, and it leaves you with a lot of student debt. Living in an apartment with friends or at home is more cost efficient, and you get to live where you want and do what you want. Going to trade school leads to better job opportunities and leaves you with a lot of practice in the selected trade. However, with college, your skills are all based off of paperwork and no real hands-on training. Your classes are smaller and your teachers can pay more attention to you if you need help or not. However, college classes can range from 25 kids to over 100 kids. At trade school, you meet people who share the same hobbies as you, and making friends can be a lot easier.
Okay, how do you think you did?
Not counting the rebuttal, I think I did really good, but in the rebuttal, I absolutely butchered it. So if I'm winning this, it's not going to be based off my rebuttal.
And what do you think was your strongest point?
My strongest point, I think my strongest point would have been the 45% of high school graduates don't know what they want, because the rest of it was pretty evenly matched, but I didn't hear any rebuttal against that. In trade school, you have no time to think of it, what you want to be. So I think that may have been my strongest point.
And what do you think about your opponent's performance?
I think she did really good overall.
So, how do you think you did?
I think I did good on my opening, I did good on the rebuttal, but I really didn't do good on the closing statement, because I thought the rebuttal and closing statement were one thing.
So what do you think your strongest point was?
Definitely living off campus and how trade school is a lot cheaper.
And how do you feel that your opponent did?
She did really good.
Okay, that's good.